Did you know that over 5 billion cars have been destroyed in all of the Call of Duty games put together? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 29. My name is Gareth Bridie. I'm going to be your host, and I'm joined by on my virtual left, of course, Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Wow, not too bad. You alright?
Oh, yeah, good, yeah. And on my virtual right is Mr. James Bentley. How you doing, James?
I'm doing all right. How are you two?
Very good. Now, I have to say this, when we have the two James Bs, like a DJ set from 1998 in Ibiza, I have to say we're going to call James Burks James, and James Bentley, we're just going to call him Bentley, just for my ease, more than anyone else. How you doing, chaps? What have you been doing this week? Bentley?
I think the main thing that happened to me is I got an Oculus Quest, and I swear every single time I come on here I end up talking about VR, and I don't want to be the resident VR guy. That's not intentional.
That's good. We like
But
it.
you can be.
Yeah.
We don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, it's really good. If I could quickly, I think it's very different to my experience with the PSVR, but it doesn't have wires. So I love that you can kind of walk around the room and it's got the Guardian and stuff. It's a really different experience, but it's really solid, especially considering it's running off what is essentially mobile hardware. It's really impressive, actually.
Okay. And what have you been playing on it? Anything at all?
Yeah, I think the major one I've been looking at is Pavlov Shack, if any of you have heard of that.
No.
It's essentially sort of a VR rendition of CS:GO. And it's got proper reloads where you have to put the mag in and pull the right things and do things like that. So it often ends up in these really dumb things where you shoot a gun at someone and you sit there sprinting around because you don't know how to operate a sniper or whatever, and it just ends up killing you, and it's really fun.
Wow. And so is it now? I'm really simple in a lot of things, but when it comes to VR, I'm very simple. Does it look as impressive as a PlayStation 1, or is there any difference, or is that not a thing? Teach me.
Well, see, the thing is, the PlayStation VR it does downscale it a bit, and it's got this the kind of screen door effect where sort of the screen itself isn't that powerful, which is why it's the cheapest on the market. So going into the Oculus Quest, you notice it just looks so much nicer. The actual text and things looks nicer, but the games themselves not as much. Now, of course, at some point in the future, when I get my new graphics card, I'm going to use the Oculus Link so I can basically run actual VR games like Half-Life Alyx and things like that on it.
Yeah.
So I bought it as sort of a multiple machine. I can take it with me and play, Beat Saber somewhere else, or I can plug it in and use it as a proper VR machine. But it is a very different experience to the PSVR. The PSVR has a lot of loaded experience for a controller and things like that, but you can tell that really takes advantage of not having wires, and I'm really liking that facet of it.
Good.
And in particular, there's this game called Tea of God, I think it's called, where basically it's procedurally generated roguelike, but it actually uses the room in your room. So you map out how big your room is, and it only ever uses that. So you walk around and actually walks in game and things, which is incredible. It's really cool.
So your actual room becomes a game, in a sense, becomes a location.
Yeah, for certain games, yeah.
That's
you can
great.
move and it'll move in game and work. It's incredible, yeah.
Amazing. Good. Thank you very much, Bentley. I like that a lot. What about you, James? What have you been doing?
I've been doing a little bit of everything.
Right. Before you begin, I hope it's as impressive as Bentley's first contribution to this
Should we
podcast.
just skip over mine? Just move on.
Something about snakes, probably, is that?
Oh, no, I've got nothing snake prepared this week.
Okay. No, sorry, James. What is it? What have you been doing?
Well, I started watching Gangs of London, which is a crime drama, and I don't spoil too much, but someone really powerful in the gang kingdom, should we call it?
You just called it that.
Not a kingdom.
Yeah, call it a kingdom. Yeah.
Ends up being killed, and everything goes to pot. Because every family in the surrounding area is probably suspected of doing it, shall I say. So it's really like a murder mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
In some ways. I know you've seen it, Gareth.
I've seen it, yeah.
But what stood out the most is the fighting.
Feel left out.
Yeah.
The fighting scenes are brilliant. Because not only are they well choreographed, but they feel quite realistic in the way that they play out as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's one right near the end, again, I won't spoil too much, but it's a bigger chap and a smaller chap, and the small guy really has to use inventive ways of trying to overcome this big guy, and it makes a really cool fight scene. It's a really interesting story so far.
And how many episodes have you watched?
I've only seen 2.
Okay, so I've seen the whole run now, which is about 9 episodes.
And does it get better and better?
I'm not going to say anything to anyone.
Oh, no. Don't put me off.
No, not putting you off. It's directed, the first episode and the middle one, and it's created by Gareth Evans, who is...
He did The Raid.
Yeah, he did The Raid and The Raid 2, and he is this really interesting British director, Welsh director, and he went over to Indonesia and made The Raid and Raid 2 there. And what was great about those with films was the way he kind of choreographed those kind of like, and worked with the kind of the fight choreographers and the martial artists in Indonesia. And it feels like, and it feels like he's brought that team over there. That feels really the similar kind of choreography in some of the fight scenes, which is really exciting. The only problem I have with the series is I want that in every episode, and it doesn't happen in every episode. But there are some really good ones.
Is it a bit like the first half hour of the first episode where it's quite slow?
I'm not saying a word. You're going to watch it in the report back.
All right. But, you've got to tell other people.
I know.
You don't want them wasting their time.
I know. It's good. It's good. It's good.
And you'd recommend it, would you?
I would recommend, yes. I definitely recommend giving it a go. Yeah, it's on Now TV. If you have, it's on Sky, so it's a Sky original.
Yeah, and
you can watch it
now.
Once. Yeah, all 9.
All right.
Yeah. Give it a go.
And then the rest of the time's been playing mobile games.
Oh my word! All those games.
I've got a Dragon Ball Z mobile game that came out 5 years ago. I've just started playing it now. It's what it's come down to. Playing Dock and Bottle.
Wow.
Never heard of.
No, I'm never going to hear
it. Do you not play any mobile games?
No. I think I've got. Look at my mobile phone now. What have I got on here?
Have you got Snake?
Unlike a 90s Nokia.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I've got jogging apps, and I've got nothing on there at all.
I mean, I'm normally on your side in not having games because they do absolutely drain your phone.
Yeah.
When you're playing them, but it's something different.
I know.
A free-to-play card game.
I used to have games on my phone when I commuted, but I work now when I commute because I do that, so I can't. So I don't do the game, so I never get a chance. Right, let's move on. Now what happened yesterday? Now we're recording this on Thursday, so it'll be out on Friday. And what happened on Wednesday was suddenly the Assassin's Creed Ubisoft guys and girls, they said, here's a new reveal for the Assassin's Creed game on Twitch. And it was an artist, a famous kind of graphic artist, I think that's right, who was kind of live drawing the reveal for the new Assassin's Creed game, the location of where it was. It's almost doing a kind of poster, wasn't he? And you could watch that. So everyone went on there. It's hilarious because everyone's on there watching it and commenting on it and saying, please don't do it, thinking he's the guy who's made the game. And actually all he's doing is drawing it live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but straight away we knew it was going to be, which we kind of suspected anyway, Viking set in Viking times in Norway. And so we had that feel from that drawing. And then today, at Thursday, which we're recording now at 4:00, they revealed a cinematic trailer for the game for about 4 minutes. And then, as well, they gave lots of information about what the game's going to be about the actual what you can buy, what you can order, and some press pictures of the actual in-game footage as well. Did you two have a chance to have a look at it at all?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
James, let's start with you. What's your thoughts?
I was instantly drawn to the collector's edition with a massive figurine.
Right. Yeah.
Of Ivor.
Oh.
I presume that's how you pronounce it, Ivor.
Yeah.
The main character.
Go with that. Yeah.
But after watching the trailer, I'm very, very excited because it's going to be brutal. And am I right in saying it's set in England?
Yeah, so I think the idea is that you start, and correct me if I'm wrong, you two, you start in Norway, and then you travel to England, in sort of 9th century England, and then you're kind of building settlements and sort of maybe fighting the Saxons and who were in control of England at the time. And I think there's 4 areas of England that are fully playable. Like I think it's East Anglia, where my football team comes from, Colchester, Mercia, Northumberland, and somewhere else that I've forgotten. But they're also saying you have other bits of. You definitely can go back to Norway, and maybe there's other bits of Europe as well. So that's the feeling of it.
I don't think I'm so interested in the other bits of Europe. But the England parts, I think.
I mean, they look very pretty. The screenshots I've seen.
I mean, Viking is going to be quite a lot of fun as well. And the mini games and stuff. Little side quests you can do.
Oh yeah, because you can fish, which is always the thing. You can drink,
of course,
and you can Viking rap, which is called something.
Viking rap.
You can what now?
you can rap. It was this thing, and it's a special word for it, and it's like a. They used to have these kind of like poem battles, really.
Sorry, I'm out. That's it.
And you can do this, apparently that's part of it. Well.
Assassin's Creed Ragnarok.
Very nice, Bentley. Very nice.
Assassin's Creed Def Jam.
Very good. Bentley, what did you think? What's your thoughts from the trailer and bits?
See, the thing is, I think that the live stream was a really, really great idea, but it was so obvious that people would find it boring, Like, I feel like I really like the idea of that, but they almost would have been better off with, those kind of YouTube style speed paint where they record it at various hours and then speed it up into like a 5-minute clip.
Yeah.
That almost would have been a better trailer.
Yeah,
it's kind of a tease or something. I think the trailer looked great. It looked like brutal and sort of... I think if you're going this kind of setting, you need something a bit kind of hefty and sort of brutal, and I think they did that well. Yeah. I'm not too sure how it's going to work, but they did say it's going to be, RPG-ish, and you're going to be able to customize their hair and tattoos and stuff, which, I mean, I really like. I quite like the RPG direction. I've seen some people on Twitter giving out about it, but that's why I don't go on Twitter.
I think you're right. I think they will go for the RPG. The thing they've done with Odyssey and Oranges. I keep saying Oranges. And I think that's the way that they probably would go. I think they were chatting about with something. It's open world, of course. And I think they were talking about the settlement stuff is a big thing. So you build your settlement up, and then you can send people on quests, which I think happen in...
Brotherhood?
Yeah, I think you're right. And maybe another one, I think. Maybe
Revelations?
Black Flag.
Oh, Black Flag did it. Yeah, it did.
Which is quite exciting, and see where that can happen. And the other thing as well, it was, of course, it was Xbox One and PS4, but the big things are PS5 and Xbox Series X, which are the ones. So we know holiday, if they come out, holiday 2020, and they talked a little bit about those. How exciting it is for them as developers to be able to completely, loading times they talked about, but also just be able to fulfill those worlds. I think they said, to make those worlds more realised, which obviously means there might be 2 slightly different models, maybe. Maybe it might be just loading times. I don't know, but
what does seem a little bit strange to me is I remember in the trailer, I think they said in the description, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure they said coming to Xbox One and PS4. I don't think they actually spoke about the next gen consoles in the description of the trailer.
Oh, they
which
did at
seems
the
a bit
end.
strange to me.
Right at the end.
Right at the end,
Yeah.
they did, yeah.
See, they
That
did it
was all.
in the trailer itself,
Yeah.
but not in the description, which makes me a bit suspicious.
Yeah. Well, I think they might. I mean, they, if
if
the consoles get delayed,
Yeah.
they will still release probably the game on Xbox One and PS4.
then bring it out later again.
Yeah, then bring it out later for the next
Yeah.
one,
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking they might be suggesting by that.
yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah,
looks.
because we just don't know, do we?
We just don't know. I mean, it looks great. I mean, it goes to that age-old debate. Comes if the consoles do release. We didn't get release date. If the consoles do release in November, and it all happens, it's all fine. And there's only 2 of them available, but we get those 2. Do you get Assassin's Creed on that one, or do you wait? Do you say Assassin's Creed release date is October the 22nd? Do you get it then for your Xbox and your PS4, or do you wait until the new console comes
Just
out?
wait.
You wait. You would wait, yeah. What about
See,
you,
I'm
Ben?
hoping they do what Cyberpunk have done and what Call of Duty Ghost did in the last one, where you could like cross-save, cross-buy. They might not. They probably won't, but that's what I'm hoping for.
I think they'll do an update like Cyberpunk talked about. Like, I think you might get if you have the Xbox One version, you might get a digital upgrade.
If that's
to the Series X.
guaranteed,
Yeah,
then you get in there as soon as possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no dates at the moment, which is interesting. Normally, when they do a trailer and stuff, they normally give it a date, but there's no dates.
Well, this part in the year, normally, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but
not that far away. is
no
it,
one
really?
knows
4
what they're
months,
doing, do
5
they?
months.
Of course, so they feel a bit,
No.
But exciting. I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan, as I've talked about before, and so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Vikings.
Yeah.
They're always more interesting.
And also, it had the kind of like the mythology stuff was there as well.
Yeah.
You had
With
sort of
Odin.
like Odin was there in the trailer, so that
Yeah.
that's fun as well. That's good. Good. Let's move on, shall we? Happy?
All right.
Anything else you want to say to that? Can't think of
Nope.
anything else. No. Good. Questions. Now, every podcast episode, I ask our guests some questions to get a psychological dossier on both of them. And how many times have you been on now, Bentley? Is this your third or your second?
3?
3? I think
Yeah,
it's
I
your
think
third.
it's 3, yeah.
Bentley's a very rounded individual. Well, James
I'd hope so.
James is terribly. James needs help. That's
It's
all I'm
my
saying.
dossier under lock and key.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the safety of others and myself.
Yeah. Surrounded by a kind of wall of fire. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is a first question. What hobby have you always wanted to develop? Like you want to practice and become good. What hobby? Let's go for James.
Probably drawing.
Oh.
So when I was younger, I used to draw quite a lot of like cartoon pictures of wrestlers and footballers.
Right.
But I never really carried it on after like the age of 9. I was quite good at it though.
Oh. Why have you
I
stopped?
Just, well, I'd say time, but no, just no focus.
Right.
I just can't get back into it. But I do like drawing things that are slightly different to how they should be. Like say caricatures or... So I mean, that's a hobby again.
It's
quite therapeutic.
I want you to do this.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I can find some old ones, I'll upload them to Twitter.
Yeah.
Can we make
like them.
Yeah.
Can we make caricatures of the team for the Xbox Hub team page?
That would be very cool.
That's really a good idea. Yeah. That's really good. I like this. Now, James, stop playing a mobile phone game and draw.
I'm playing it now.
Bentley, what about you?
See, I think he kind of took one that I was thinking there because I've always been kind of bad at drawing, so I wanted to. I think game making. I guess I used to sort of. I was going into that field a few years ago, and I sort of picked up Unity and I made some really basic things. And then I had this thought of like, what if I suddenly start hating games because I'm making them, you know?
Yeah.
But I like the idea of going back to that just to sort of see the inner workings of them and stuff. Like I think I'd like to go back to. I don't normally always make answers so structured to like the Xbox Hub or whatever, but that one kind of is.
Yeah, I think that's
game making. I think
again, that's what I want you to do as well. Wow.
The Xbox Hub game with caricatures art.
Yeah, I think you should do that. That's really exciting. It's really interesting, that, isn't it? Whether a game, it'd be good to ask a game when we do an interview again with some of the game developers when this lockdown's finished, to ask them about whether they does their enthusiasm for playing games go, or are they, when they see behind the curtain and the inner workings.
Yeah, you're probably constantly criticising whatever you see.
Yeah,
like you work in film behind the camera. You see little things, don't you, more than...
Well, it's funny because I do some film stuff, of course, and then when you do it, when you're in the middle of a shoot or you're in the middle of a grade or something, you do watch everything for a while and go, I can see the grade, I can see that, but it does pass very quickly.
Ah, good.
But so hopefully that might happen with a game. If you're fully into a game mode, you just need a little break before you start playing.
See, I think there's actually two sides to that there. Like you were saying, I think you can criticize more. But for instance, I know that when I started going to like music production, because I have my own music and stuff, I started kind of doing it myself so I could just do it from home. And then I sort of started to realize like how impressive a lot of sound engineering and music production really is, given how basic I am. Like, I think it works two ways. Like sometimes I'll criticize like, oh, that dude's just used, like basic drum beats from some sample or whatever. And then I'll go to the other way. Like, actually, that's a really impressive how he's went and done this, or how she's went and done this. So I think it kind of works two ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
More appreciative.
My hobby would be, I just want to learn to play the harmonica. I've started, but I haven't done it for years. So I'll do that.
I think all three of us go together then.
Yeah.
You're the sound department and the art. And then they can do the actual hard work on the game.
Yeah. Harmonica game. Right, the next one. What's the fanciest event you have ever been to?
Damn.
Or it could be fanciest, or it could be odd, or it could be strange, or anything like that. Let's go for Bentley first. Can you think of one?
Can you come back to me in a sec?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
James, have you got one?
I think it was... I don't remember it very well, because I was quite young. But there was like what would you call it? An event where the Queen was attending.
Oh.
And we got to meet the Queen. That was quite posh.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
I can't remember what it was to do with now. But yeah, I didn't know who she was. So that was good. So I was just myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite posh.
You didn't know who the Queen was? Did someone tell you?
No. I have no idea.
Oh, wow.
I was only about 5.
Oh, that's fair enough. I thought it was last week.
I mean, to be fair, I still wouldn't know in a crowd.
Bentley, any ideas?
I suppose I'll go. See, I don't know if it's really fancy. It was strange to me. So I once got invited up to Google for some award thing before, which is cool. And I got to see their office. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the office is really strange. So basically, like a few years ago, just for sort of whatever, I ended up like founding this little group with a few of my friends where we taught older people how to use computers. So, we'd get them down in buses or whatever. We'd get them into this kind of computer room and we'd teach them how to use it. So then one day, like, Google contacted us and they put us up for something called a Silver Surfer. We didn't win, of course. But then we went down there and it was all like sparkly, and like kind of all of the designs and stuff were very sort of circular, like the entire place looked a little bit Willy Wonka almost.
Wow.
And like if you go into like, they've got like a staff kitchen, you open up a drawer and it's just like full of like M&Ms and things. Like it's a real, the entirety of the whole facility was very, very Willy Wonka.
Wow.
And I think that kind of sticks in my head as something that's kind of strange, and that sounds really cool to work at.
It sounds really cool.
Yeah, good. My one is it's the anniversary of this, actually. That's why I've thought about it. It was my friend got married, and she got married in the Tower of London. And the reason she got married in the Tower of London is because her dad was ex-military, and was related to some of the guards, not the beefeaters, but something to do there. And if you're related, you can get married. So she got married. She got married in I can't remember the name of the chapel, but it's like a 15th century chapel. It's like where I think Anne Boleyn and King Henry VIII got married. So it's kind of like you're in this weird chapel, and then we were in the event was sort of in the Tower of London.
Wow!
And a funny thing,
very special place,
very amazing. But the funny thing was, they all went out, and then I left my bag like I always do, and I had to go back, and I went to a beefeater. I've left my bag in the tower, and he went, "Oh, just go in there and get it." So I was like wandering around the Tower of London on my own, looking for my bag for about half an hour. It's brilliant. There you go. Good. Last question.
Really cool.
I liked the Tower of London. What was your earliest memory? Everyone says this. Can you remember your earliest thing? James.
Wow, that's a tough one. Come back to me.
Bentley? I can start if you're stuck.
I don't really have a clue. Like, when I think about it, I haven't a clue when my first memory was. I think a lot of it's very jumbled. I think one of them might be playing the N64. Oh. I remember very distinctly being maybe 3. Maybe that's too old. I don't remember when my first. I think it might have been that. I think I had I remember playing Ocarina of Time with the little hands because I think it was probably my uncle with me or something. I'm playing Ocarina of Time, just messing with the little thumbsticks, and I had Lunchables, and that's the entirety of that memory.
Wow.
And I think that might be it.
That's
And
good.
Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games. I think probably for that reason.
I feel old now, Bentley. I feel very old. I was pretty older than your uncle at that point.
Probably.
Yeah. James, what about you?
I think it probably is game related as well. Basketball game. On the old, I think it was on the NES.
Oh yeah,
And it was Jordan v. Bird.
yeah.
Michael Jordan and Larry Bird.
Yeah.
I can't stand basketball.
Was it
I really enjoyed that.
Was it when the dunks went on fire, or is it?
No,
later?
that was NBA Jam, wasn't it, I think.
So like that.
But yeah, that's either that or no, that's probably it. That's the earliest one.
It's good. I've got my earliest one is Trafalgar Square. I don't know how old it was, in a pram, and loads of pigeons just jumped on me because I was eating something, and that's what I remember.
That's a scary first memory.
Yeah, 3.
That's like an origin story of Pigeon Man.
Yeah,
that was Batman originally, but it didn't really come off.
Pigeon Man.
Get the rights to that one.
That is good. I like that. Pigeon Man. Brilliant. Right, quick. Would you rather's? James, is yours?
Yeah.
Would you rather be free or totally safe?
It's safe.
Yeah, good. Very topical. Would you like to be the funniest person in the room or the most intelligent?
Can't we both?
No.
I knew he was going to say that. That's funny.
Right, good. Would you go on?
Go with funniest.
Good. Would you rather be 4'5" or 7'7"?
7'7".
Right, Bentley, these are yours. Would you rather be poor and find true love, or be rich and be alone?
I mean, I think I already have the first one. No, yeah, I think it's cheesy enough, but I think I'd pick the first one.
Good. Would you rather own your own dream car or have never-ending knowledge?
I swear I thought you said Dreamcast. I think I'd prefer Dreamcast to a Dream car.
Oh, okay.
I'll pick Never Ending Knowledge.
Good choice. Last one. Would you rather create a super successful app or go on a tour with Beyonce?
That's a strange one. I've never ever thought of those two against each other. Why can't I make an app for Beyonce?
You can't. That's it.
I would pick the app, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
fair enough.
Beyonce.
No,
I have to cancel the tour.
Yeah, cancel the tour. Good. Right, what games have we been playing, you lot? Let's start with Bentley.
I guess I'll start with the one I finished first. I'll start with Daymare, if any of you have heard that or played it.
I've done the Let's Play for it, yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. There's nothing else I can say.
No, you explain the game to us.
Yeah, I have no idea about it. Tell me.
It's a sort of it's a zombie game in style. Well, I think it was originally intended to be like Resi 2, but a remake, and then I think it kind of took things from the Resi 2 remake last year. So it's sort of somewhere in between those two in the way it's sort of thought and structured. It's a little bit janky, but I could totally see why people would love it. And I mean, I quite enjoyed it. Like, it's real. I think it's got a level of sort of, I don't want to say badness, but I think that people who play Resi 2 would enjoy. Like, it's got like terrible voice acting, a bit over the top and melodramatic story that works in its favor. I think if you played Resi 2 remake and the original and 3, I think you probably like Daymare. So I think you should give it a go.
Yeah. I mean, it looks quite good, doesn't it? Some of it looks quite nice, and some.
Yeah, I think graphically there's a big comparison. I think there's some character models that look really good and some walls that don't look quite as good. But yeah, overall it's pretty solid. But
you play it, you're kind of going into a laboratory where everything's gone wrong, haven't you? And it borrows so heavily from Resident Evil, and it's aware of that, isn't it?
Oh, totally. It does the whole Resi like mastermind thing where you're like a puppet and it's like, oh, he's spooky and he knows all the information. But I think it does it well. You know, I think there's a lot of lore in there. I think you could probably spend a whole new playthrough going through it and figuring out little stories and things. I think it's good.
Now, I've only done a Let's Play, so I only played the first hour or something. The main guy is an arsehole, isn't he? The one you play. Do you change him, or does it get any better?
Yeah, slight spoilers. Every single chapter is from the eyes of a character that you didn't play in the previous one.
Great.
So I think a lot of them are set up to be kind of awful or bad or whatever. And they play out from different stories.
Oh, that's good. I'll carry on then. I might carry on.
I think you should. I think if you like the first hour, you'd probably like the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay, Daymare. Yeah. Good. James?
I've been playing more Artifacts games again. Artifacts Monday. Puzzle games. This one's Path of Sin. Greed. That's what it's called. Yeah. And basically you're a detective and you get summoned to an island, a luxury island, where someone's died. But isn't as you think, because although everyone says it's a suicide, there's been a murder.
I love the cadence on the voice there. You could tell there was like, ooh.
So yeah, you just got to solve the murder basically.
Right.
Piecing together bits of intelligence that you get. You've got to complete jigsaws. There's some pipe mania puzzles. Hidden object scenes. You've got to find so many items in one area. It's a bit too straight-laced for me. There's not enough going on. Like, there's no magical fairies or elves or anything, so it's quite normal compared to most Artifacts games.
Right.
But and you are a big fan of them, right?
I am.
Artifacts.
Yeah, but this is quite a normal one.
Okay.
But the puzzles are great. I mean, who doesn't enjoy jigsaws?
Do you know what? I played my first Artifacts Monday game last week for a Let's Play, and I was completely hooked. I really like them. They're really addictive. Really addictive. And hours just go suddenly. You're just like, and there's those bits when you have to look at the screen and find the objects with the, related
the hidden
to
object scenes.
Oh, they're really addictive.
Yeah.
They're hard, great. Though. Really hard. It gets harder, doesn't it?
What the item is.
Like, I'm 3/4 of the way through this one game. It's like it's getting really tricky now.
You've no idea how long it took me in one of the games to find a sextant. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
I think you've sort of sold me on them. I remember when they all came in and you were like, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one. It was a bit intimidating because there was all these games by the same kind of dev. So I sort of backed away. But I think you kind of sold me. I might try and give one a go.
I think you should give it a go. Yeah.
It's running the sale at the moment. I think it's £6. It's a decent one. I can't remember the name of it now. But I have reviewed it. Yeah, check it out in the sale on Xbox.
I definitely will do, yeah.
Yeah.
I played again. Did I talk about this last week? In a Friend. James, can you remember? Or did I said I was going to talk about it more, didn't I?
I'm very honest, you might have done, but I just blanked it out.
Yeah, you just blanked anything. When
You
it's
stick
me,
with playing mobile games.
when I start talking, yeah, you're on my phone again, aren't you? Well, there's a game called Inner Friend, which released, I think the review's out, and it's one of those kind of magic, kind of realist games that mixes a sort of psychological horror. You basically, but it's very abstract. You basically go into a kind of grown person's mind, and you play the inner friend, which is this kind of weird, kind of like porcelain sort of like child who's the inner friend, and you go into his mind, and then you just try to work out, what's gone wrong. But these worlds, if you're going into his mind, so if you're going into a school, the perspectives of the school are everywhere. It's like a nightmare dream of a place, There's creatures in the corner. There's the teachers are like huge monsters, So, and that's basically kind of the journey of the game. It's sort of done in third person. It's a bit platformy at times. It's a little bit of puzzle solving. It's sometimes it's about you using stealth or running away from creatures, but it is really good. I can't even remember what I give it, but I really enjoy it. I mean, it's a short game, and I think it may be like £12 or something, and it's you do it in 2 hours. But there's something really kind of artistic wise, and the perspectives and the kind of like design of it is some scenes are kind of stunning to look at, and really kind of interestingly how they've made decisions, in how game developers have a brilliant time when they do sort of like dream worlds or nightmare worlds. This is like the whole game. It's like that.
You gave it a 3.5.
Did I? That's fair enough.
That's spoiler.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it looks... Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just saying, I think it looks really interesting. Actually, I think you kind of sold me on it there. It looks like a mix between sort of like Psychonauts and maybe Inside or Limbo, or one of those.
Yeah, it has elements of that actually, Limbo and Inside. But yeah, it does. That is right. Yeah, it's great. You're hooked for the hour. I think I did a whole walkthrough of it because I wasn't going to, but I just carried on. And it's simple. You can do it in a day and or an afternoon.
Is that walkthrough on the Xbox Hub?
It is on the Xbox Hub. Well done. That's very good.
If anyone needs to use that,
use
stuck,
that. Yeah,
maybe just give up on gaming.
Yeah,
you can watch it 2 or 3 times if you want.
Yeah.
No, it'd be really useful for someone.
It would be.
I might use it.
Yeah.
To get some achievements. Is there any?
There is achievements. I can't even remember how many there were. I think it was quite good. Yeah. Anything else, you two? James, got any more?
I played a little bit of another game called Active Neurons.
Ooh.
Which is a puzzle game.
Oh, I'm reviewing that at the moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's basically you've got a guy that is a charging square to go and charge the neutrons. Is that right?
I'm glad I'm not describing it, but yeah, go on. It's good.
And you've got to slide the square into obstacles so that it ends up sliding towards the neuron. Am I close?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to write this review at the moment. I'm thinking, how do I describe this exactly?
It is a bit. It's simple, but it's really clever. The puzzles are very clever.
Visually, it makes complete sense when you start playing it.
Yeah.
But to describe it, it's really, really tricky. But the only thing I can think of is like a Thomas Was Alone. That's the only thing I can. But it's nothing like that.
Look. Yeah. But it changes every so often, doesn't it? So there's more obstacles or more things to use to get to the neurons.
It's kind of like a maze game in a sense, isn't it? You've got to guide your block and get it to an exit in a way, in a really simplified way. But sorry.
So I'm going to say what really helps it is that if you are stuck for a while, you can just get the solution.
It just shows you
in the game. You just go, there you go. Don't waste your time.
Just watch that and copy that. I know. But I really like. I mean, it's only what is it, £3 or £4 or something?
For $4.19.
Yeah, it's great. I think
it's from Sometimes You, and they do a lot of cheap games.
Yeah,
they're really good for just picking up.
I mean,
for a few hours.
I reviewed it and I've played it sort of in bits all week, and I've really enjoyed it every time I've gone there. So I've just finished it now. Yeah, it's great. It's really good.
It is for the price. It's a nice little puzzle game.
Yeah.
Tide you over.
Bentley, have you got another one?
I do. I've been playing Dread Nautical recently, which is an interesting game. It's sort of a I think an easy way to describe it is sort of like XCOM. It's got this sort of tactical sort of overview thing where you have sort of action points and you can decide where each character's going, but it has these elements of sort of RPGs and sort of survival crafting at points, and all of that's tied up with this sort of Lovecraftian overview. I think it's interesting the way it ties those things together. Like, it grabs a lot of really familiar pieces from games and ideas and kind of puts them together in a unique way.
What's the setting? What's the story behind it?
So you are one of 4 possible characters. Well, there's loads of people, but there's characters you play as on a cruise ship. You all have different reasons for being there, possibly hinted at being sort of more supernaturally being put there. And you sort of come into this. It's sort of strange. There's this patch of ocean. Essentially, the idea is that like it's some sort of domain of this like Lovecraftian horror, but it's done in a sort of way that just sort of looks like you've gone to a bad bit of ocean. So basically, you kind of end up in this what's that thing called again in the middle of the ocean where it's the Bermuda Triangle kind of style. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of sort of Lovecraftian horror. And then the boat gets taken over and destroyed, and it ends up playing with these weird like time loops and things where like characters die and then they come back totally fine. It's really like interesting and kind of trippy. And I feel like if you're a fan of sort of RPGs and XCOM and stuff, you'll probably love it. Like it's pretty solid.
Good. Well, have you reviewed it yet? Is it out yet?
I just finished a review maybe an hour ago. But it's not going to be out probably for another day or two. I mean, I can tell you the score if you'd like. A little inside news.
Don't surprise us. We want to wait for the review. Yeah.
Okay.
I won't do the last game. I'll do that next week. But we'll move on because we've got things to discuss. We're going to the news, and one of the news items that came out about an hour ago to when we're recording is Phil Spencer, our favourite man about town,
the OG.
He said, which he kind of promised this week. He said, "You're going to hear lots more Xbox Series X news and games." And he said, "Okay, next week, which is on the 7th of May, I think, is that right?
Indeed,
at 4:00. So we'll talk about this next week on the podcast. They're going to do a sort of like an Inside Xbox. It's like an hour program, and that would feature new Xbox Series X games from their global partners. Is that right?
Some gameplay, definitely.
Yeah."
It's very exciting.
It could. We get to see some other stuff.
Well, yeah.
And we did see Ubisoft in the Twitter mentions putting like a looking emoji or something, which is something.
Just get some more.
Just be Assassin's Creed again.
Assassins, yeah.
We saw Devolver made a comment on it as well, so we could see some stuff from them.
Yeah. So it's not going to be any of their. It probably won't be any of their own stuff like Halo or the new Hellblade.
Hopefully no Gears either. Anything else Gears, keep it away. Please, mate.
But yeah, so I think what's quite exciting about that, this is a time I think after this kind of like drought and us being locked down, we're starting to kind of get, I think definitely the next month, we're going to get more and more information about games coming out in the autumn, as well as games for the new console.
Yeah,
it's all going to start to drip now because it's when was E3 meant to be?
May.
May. Was it May? I thought it was June.
June.
It could be the first week of June. Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna. So I think they're all going to start to bring stuff out. You know, it's going to be very busy, which is good for us on the podcast because we can talk about stuff rather than questions.
Totally.
But yeah, so what would you like to see out of all that? If you had a game you'd like to really see from the global partners? It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, what we've heard, what we're thinking that might come out. I'm trying to think of something that we know Watch Dogs will come out.
I think it depends on what they mean by global partners. Like, does that mean sort of Xbox owned or Xbox acquired? Yeah, so we'll probably see. Yeah, we'll see. So we could see something on the next sort of Bethesda title, perhaps. Maybe another little trailer or something there. Who else sort of tends to show? Yeah, FIFA, of course.
Give us some FIFA. That's all we need is a new FIFA game. Our time is over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's really hard, isn't it? Because all I'm thinking about at the moment is the Xbox exclusives or the PlayStation exclusives, what possibly can come out. I'm trying to think what else.
I think Assassins will be the biggest gameplay that we see.
Yeah.
I hope so, anyway. What happened to that other Ubisoft game? Was it Skull and Bones? Yeah.
I don't think that's coming out.
To that?
I don't think that's going to come out for a while.
I was more excited for that than Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, you were really into that, weren't you? I don't think that's going to come out for a while.
But I might be wrong. If it never comes out, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait. We'll find out more next week. PlayStation have hinted. There's a rumor from another developer who said might have something going on June the 4th. Is that right? Have I made that up?
Yeah, June 4th. Yeah.
Their PS5 reveal event is possibly planned for then, which is probably about right. If it's probably E3 time, isn't it? When they were, I know they dropped out of E3 long before it was cancelled, but maybe that's what they always plan to do, have their own thing.
Yeah, do their own event.
I mean, that's quite interesting. I mean, I'm going to blend two stories into one here. The big sort of surprise this week was like The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Was announced that it was coming out in June.
That's had a bit of a wild ride over the last 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think we were going to see that until the autumn.
Oh, indefinitely. It was suspended too, wasn't it? So that's usually a long spell on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I think they almost would have kept it half a year if it wasn't. I'd say the reason why it sort of suddenly was like, oh, June 19th is probably something to do with the fact that all these leaks are happening. You know, I think they're worried they might lose a little bit of that hype as people, you know, if they find out, you know, it's a year away, they might think, okay, maybe I'll just have a little look at the story or whatever to see if it's worth it. So I think they've really been hampered by all of this. I would say they've had maybe 30 different ideas of when to release in their heads, and it's going to really affect, you know, getting the games out and stuff. And I don't know.
I guess they would have had stuff as well. I think there would be a sort of distribution thing, which is what they said as well. The problem they didn't want to do in May, it was a distribution problem because nothing's open, and half the world wouldn't be able to even get it into any kind of store.
Right.
So it's probably now they've probably gone, actually, we've got all this stuff here. And they've probably got all that stuff boxed up, or there's probably stuff in warehouses that they need to do for cost-wise to actually get it onto shops. And there is a feeling that shops might come back in some capacity in June from the lockdown. We're hearing more about that next week as well, but yeah.
I think they're very optimistic. Was it June 19th, they said?
Yeah.
Last of Us.
So. Yeah.
It's optimistic that shops like Game and even at HMV, them being open to sell physical copies, it's going to be highly unlikely, I think, because they're not essential.
No. But I think there is a rumor now that shops will start to open. Just with some of the retail people I know who are getting letters from the thing that towards the end of the month, some of the shops were open. How that's going to work, because social distances is going to be with us till the end of the year probably. So it's till we get a vaccine. So it's how that will work. But there's probably more of a chance that a game might open, and there'll be social distancing in that.
See, maybe they'll start implementing Game and GameStop and HMV, the ones that kind of the European and whatever. Maybe they'll start implementing their sort of online system more with this whole thing going on, because I can't imagine they'll just sit on their hands and wait until they've got to reopen again.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we do know that it's going to be a 100 gig digital download.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge, and I think we do know if you buy the disc, it's on 2 discs, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, which is incredible, really. When's the last 2 disc game we had?
Last one
PS1.
I had was
Lost.
is it Blue Dragon?
Blue Dragon. I was just about to say that. Yeah, Blue Dragon. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the last one I had.
Wow.
Was Lost Odyssey multi-disc?
I think it might have been, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a
I'm open
JRPG.
So
Still sealed. One day I'll play it.
didn't
Oh yeah.
Red Dead have 2 discs? No, he didn't do it. No.
Did it?
No, it didn't.
No.
No, I don't know. Yeah, but that's it. So there you go. Last of Us.
It did. It did have 2 discs. So I've got it open right now. Yeah.
Ah.
I totally forgot about that.
So Last of Us, June, which is quite exciting. It's quite exciting to look forward to something for me. I really
Yeah, not for me.
Not for you, but I'm really looking forward to playing it. Are you looking
Yeah,
forward to
so
it, Benny?
am I.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pre-order it and play it probably midnight release with my girlfriend. Make our way through that.
Yeah. And then we've got, I was talking about the PS5 reveal, possibly early June for PlayStation. What might be some of the games that they might? What do you think if you choose one each? What are they going to reveal?
It's got to be another Spider-Man, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you
I
think?
think that would be the headline.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying did they acquire the dudes behind Spider-Man? What's their name again? Sucker Punch, is it? Is it Sucker Punch who made that?
Oh,
I think whoever Insomniac. Sorry, I think they purchased Insomniac. Did they not?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So good. We could definitely get another Spider-Man game then.
I mean that would be a good reason to tune in. But
Yeah.
other than that, I can't think of anything.
Well, I
else.
think the other one would be Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's going to.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's going to be their launch time. I really think that because we know that's been made. It's been made for a while. So that would be a good launch, a strong launch. It's exciting. It makes it exciting when you're in lockdown now. Any prospect, because actually the first half of this year, I mean, it's been great for games. We've played a lot of brilliant indie games, and there's been a lot of some interest. But we've had no ideas of what's happening in the second half at all, have we? So when you start to get anything through, it gets a bit more. It's exciting. James is excited.
It's nice to hear plans for the future. You know,
Exactly,
you kind of at some point we just sort of stop doing that.
Yes.
I kind of hoped there wasn't any more games announced, and I might have to catch up.
That'd be forever. Any other?
No,
go on.
it was the Gems of War 2.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that.
Well, there might be that.
Get on that.
Oh, just briefly, I'm really off now. Who's a deadly? What's a deadly premonition?
I love Deadly Premonition.
With a sequel coming out, isn't it, in July?
I cannot wait. I actually I was looking at that on Twitter and stuff. I'm so excited I'm fumbling my words. I'm really excited to play Deadly Premonition 2.
Great. And did you watch the trailer?
I did, yeah. It's so it's hard to really gauge how good or bad it's going to be based on the trailer because like he is a very strange developer. Swery65, is it Swery65? Yeah. So you have no clue what he's going to do with it, and that's really exciting to me. Like to be surprised by games, I think is one of the most interesting experiences. You know,
James, have you ever played it?
No.
It's the most
It's
strangest. It's like a David Lynch movie. It really is.
Yeah.
You play sort of detective in this small town. Is that right, Bentley? I'm trying to remember. And you're going there to investigate. What are you investigating?
See, there's a few different things that you're investigating. The main one is sort of a murder. Well, depends. A murder / sacrifice / other things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it
gets compared to Twin Peaks a lot for a reason. You know, it's very like that kind of setting.
Yeah. And and the first game, and Bentley might hate me for that, it was very clunky.
Oh, totally.
And the driving was hilarious. But that gave it its charm and its kind of cult following, didn't it? Everyone was, fell in love with it because of those things, I think.
Yeah, it's laughably bad at points. If you play the driving mini game, it's got a really bad rip-off of Green Day's American Idiot, like a really poor imitation of it, and you can just tell by the way it's put together. Like it's just overly repeating, and then you're busting around in this car, crashing into everything, and it's like I think like the Resi 2 kind of daymare thing. I think it definitely does get its charm from being bad at points.
Yeah, but really interesting. So that's.
I probably won't check it out.
I think that's in July. I think that's coming out, isn't it? July sometime. Yeah. What's Games for Gold and the other one?
Games for Gold this month is V-Rally 4.
Wow.
On the Xbox One. So I know you like your rally games, Gareth.
I'm not going to play that.
You can master that one.
It doesn't look very good, that one.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it got very good reviews from people. Don't think we gave it.
From
Sub?
See what we gave it. We probably gave it 5. I've said that now.
Exactly. And then Warhammer Inquisitor.
I'm quite looking forward to that, actually. It's an action RPG.
I am now. It's got co-op. You got an update recently.
I didn't know it's got co-op.
Yeah, I'm sure in one of the updates they added the co-op campaign.
It's cool.
Very recently. So I might try that out.
Yeah.
And then on the 360 you got Sensible World of Soccer.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone loves a bit of old school football. And Overlord 2.
Not it's the first one, I think, isn't it?
Oh, is it the first one? My bad. Well, I haven't played Overlord or Overlord 2. But I did play the Xbox One version, and that was horrendous. So I might give it a miss.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, if you have a look at like the like to dislike ratio, it doesn't seem to be well liked this month.
Right.
But I mean, I'm excited to try it, Inquisitor. It's got 6.4k dislikes, 3k likes. So
yeah, I think because it's got co-op, I'm more inclined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But it's very hit and miss.
I think on the PlayStation side, this month they've got Farming Sim 19.
Sign me up now.
And Cities Skylines, I think. 2 games.
That's quite a good game.
That also
very
is
good.
not well liked.
Yeah. It's good games, though.
The City Skyline's great.
Yeah.
There's loads of DLC for it as well.
Yeah, it's
apparently.
nice. Yeah. Now, before we sign off, because we will have to sign off, we're running a competition. And there's a game called Kingdom 2 Crowns that's came back in 2018. It's got a little makeover with an additional of Deadlands, whatever that is. It's an expansion. You've played this, haven't you, Bentley?
I have indeed. I haven't played it recently with the expansion, but I did play the original. I bought it on sale maybe 2 years ago. It's really solid. It's sort of it's really basic in its sort of central design, but it gets up there near the end. It's sort of 2D. You go from left to right, and you can harvest resources to get gold, and you do a lot of micromanaging that ends up in really big decisions. You know, like you pick, I just build this instead of that, and suddenly you lose the game. So you go around and you use crowns, like it's sort of, you have to fuel this economy with the crowns you get, with the coins you get as a monarch. And it's interesting to see how it plays with that sort of dynamic of an economy, especially what's going on recently. It's funny to see how these two things interact. It's really interesting. I think it's a type of game where you could probably play it one-handed. You know, you could just sort of mess around and sort of not really pay too much attention, and then you're dead and you have to give it another go. But it's good.
Good.
Getting to think about these things and stuff. It's interesting.
Well, we're giving away a free copy of this game, and all you have to do is go onto the site. Now I'm saying this to James because he'll be doing it. There'll be a link on this podcast to our where you need to go, and it's a Gleam competition widget that you just need to go into. I think you have some options you choose from, and then you got your chances of winning a code.
Yep, you get an entry for doing certain things like following us on Twitter and tweeting and visiting the YouTube channel. There's 6 ways you can win.
Great.
You might as well give it a go.
Might as well give it a go.
What's the worst that can happen?
And it runs out on
You could lose.
You could lose.
All right, Green.
Sorry.
And it runs out on Sunday, 3rd of May. So be quick. Have a look at it now. And if you're listening to it afterwards, unlucky.
Sorry,
Right,
didn't win.
the worst happened. Now, what are we looking forward to next week? Anything from you two? Bentley, anything?
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Someday You'll Return. It's not on Xbox just yet. I think it's PC only. Maybe it is on Xbox. I'm not entirely sure. But it's a sort of a first-person psychological horror that kind of takes after Silent Hill, which I love because Silent Hill is one of my favorite franchises ever, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So
Okay.
there you go.
And that's out on PC. On Steam.
On the 5th of May, I believe.
Okay, that's good. What about you, James?
Looking forward to some Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, yeah.
This has come out today on Game Pass.
Oh, there you go.
I haven't played any of the Streets of Rage games for years and years. I was terrible at them, but I always enjoyed them. I must have done the first level about 100 times. And then when I got to a boss, I was always dead.
Wow.
But I love Streets of Rage.
Great.
It's got co-op, so it's a winner.
Oh, so there you go. You're happy.
Good.
I'm looking forward to Rick and Morty are back after their season hiatus. So I think that's back next week. I think we can watch that on E4 here. So that'd be exciting.
Whereabouts is it? Sorry, is it what episode is that?
I think it's number 6 or something in this season.
Season 3,
4. I've got in my
season
head.
4. Okay, so I'm a season behind.
Maybe I made that up. So don't quote me on
I
that.
think you're right, season 4, I think.
But that's exciting. I love Rick and Morty, so that'd be really good to watch a bit of that next week. Now, where can we find you, James? Where do we get hold of you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at OKidUKO.
Great. And Bentley, what about you?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all of them have different names. So maybe just the Twitter and call it a day. Which is you might want to get a pen and pencil if you want that. It's
right.
J1MB0B1998. There you go.
There you go.
All capitals.
Wow.
If you can't find it, don't bother.
Wow. Okay, and you can get me on GB Brady. But also, please subscribe to YouTube channel. Go on the site. Subscribe, like. If you're listening to this podcast on the Apple products, please leave a message. Leave some feedback, only positive, and some stars. That really helps.
I'll take anything.
Yeah, James will take anything.
Any questions that you want us to answer as well, just send them in. You want to know more about
rather Beyonce or an app.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, gentlemen. Been great as always. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.